the commercial from YouTube. So normally, like, this is dead air until people start,
GeForce, can you see us? Let's see. GeForce is in the chat. We'll see if people come. I guess I can probably see it here. But if you are here, folks, welcome to Toys. My catchy stream name, Toys. GeForce, let me know if you can see us, buddy. And then we'll get started. I did a live stream last night opening Pokemon cards with my daughter. She's like, "Do you want a live stream?" I'm like,
It still says waiting for Big Dub on YouTube.
It says waiting for Big Dub on YouTube. Oh,
yeah.
Let's see what that says. It says check and check. Where is that at? Let's see.
And congratulations on, getting married and the kid and everything. There we go.
I'm on live. Can you see us now?
The commercial just started. So
yeah, okay. Yeah. Well, that's interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you. That's
it's sponsored one of two commercials. So first, there's a political commercial.
Oh gosh, is there really?
Yeah, there is, and I'm not going to say who, just in case it's different for based on people's political views.
I guess it's true. I guess it's true. Yeah, yeah,
yeah. So it looks like we're live now.
All right, good. That's good. Hello, everybody. Yeah, it says 7. I'm looking at mine. There we go. Welcome to Toys. I don't know. I was not expecting political commercial. I guess if politicians are smart, that's where they'd be spending their money, and not on
unfortunately, they're not
television. But welcome to Toys, and a special episode of Toys. We actually have toy makers with us. Realm Toys. We have James and Jason from Realm Toys. A little bit different episode, and I'm excited for it. Guys, why don't you just introduce yourselves first, and then we'll start to get into it.
Age before beauty. So you go first, Jason.
Okay. I'm Jason Soule, co-founder of Realm Toys. I've been at this for 2.5 years with my buddy James.
You've been at it longer than that. You were making toys before you met me, and that's why you're so great. I'm James Harkness, co-founder with this great man, Jason Soule, the lesser of the two halves, and we're excited to bring Brutal Realm to everyone, and hopefully you guys are getting excited and getting brutal.
I hope so. I'm excited. So I came across Brutal Realm probably... I know when D Amazing did a video a couple weeks ago, a month-ish ago, but I feel like I encountered it somewhere else before the Kickstarter went live. I'm not sure where.
ACBA, maybe?
Maybe ACBA, an ACBA post or something. I feel like it's on Instagram story or something. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
But I remember seeing some renders, or maybe Trevor. I don't know. Maybe Trevor shared something. I don't know. But I remember going, okay, that's a big old beefy boy, and I'm a fan of the big old beefy style of things. And so I thought we spoke, it'd be fun to chat, and I think for a lot of folks it probably is fun to see a little bit behind how does this happen. I know, Jason, you said 2.5 years you've been working on this project, so that's quite a distance ago. But before we get into like all the things, let me see if I can remember how I did this. We're gonna look at the Kickstarter while we're chatting that I have up here, so that everybody knows what we're talking about. So if you are not a backer, you can go to Brutal Realm, a figure toy line from Realm Toys, right? So you guys are Realm Toys, and this is Brutal Realm. Does that mean there are going to be other realms potentially if things go well?
I can't even imagine how many realms there will be. Yes, we're hoping, if this funds, not only can we continue to bring these action figures to everybody, but we have other realms that we have in mind: horror, robotic, dark realms, you name it, pirate realms. Who knows? We can't stop ourselves. Only our fans can. So if they tell us to stop making toys, then we'll stop. But until then, we're going to make everything that comes to mind.
So this says Realm Toys was formed by two avid toy collectors with an intense love for customizing. So let's talk about that. How did we get 2.5 years of your lives to launch this Kickstarter? Like how does that happen? What decisions are made to get there?
Jason, you
It's
tell me.
it's been a long road. So the first thing is the partnership. James knew that I was working on my own idea, and I had a very rough concept of a dwarf. I had the STL files, and I had it 3D printed by the gentleman I hired to do it, because I don't know how to 3D model at all. And so James was like, yeah, you know what, it's a good concept, but it definitely needs a lot of work. And I was like, yep, it definitely does. And James is also, and I showed James because I know he was into customizing, and I knew he wanted to start another toy line as well. And so I kept that in the back of my mind as things went on. But the so we end up getting together, and James was like, screw it, let's do it. Let's start our own action figure line. And okay, I was like, okay, what does that look like? What are we doing? And James was like, barbarians, beefy character barbarians. I was like, hell
Yeah.
yeah.
At the time, there weren't really any barbarian figures other than Masterverse, and those weren't giving the articulation that I wanted. Like back then, you couldn't twist the torso, and the sculpts were very much cartoonish. They've improved significantly since then, but they still didn't have the kind of form factor of classics that I love so much. And I was really hoping for something that was like a spiritual successor
Yeah.
to Motu Classics.
Yep.
And so I thought, let's do Barbarians. And he was up for it. I had messed around with like doing some kit bashing, putting Skeletor's head on the Marvel Legends Beast body, just for the mass, not really the fur, because at that time I was thinking super big. Thankfully, people like Jason and other artists we worked with have made me become a little bit more pulled back in my desire for super big guys. So this is kind of the happy medium, because
Not quite the was it Mr. Hyde, the loose collector Mr. Hyde?
Yeah, I'd put a He-Man head on that body and be like, hey, this is brutal right here. So thankfully, people like Jason and other artists who were with have put me in check, and because of that, we've gotten a lot better and a lot cooler action figure, in my opinion.
So what do you, the big beefy, right? That's certainly the aesthetic here. And I guess, yeah, if you go back several years, Masterverse was really just kind of starting too. It's not that old a toy line at this point. And things like Zezre and like none of that was really, I don't think it was out. It may have just been showing up. And that stuff's not easy to get, right? Like shopping on 5K and
right.
And some of that you have to do in the early days. I mean, even still, like I buy plenty of stuff on 5K toys, but I still feel like I'm going to get scammed. Like,
yeah, same.
It just feels like a random email and you're like, oh, send us some PayPal. You're like,
I'm not going to say anything because we're hoping
but
to get
I've always got my stuff, but it doesn't, there's just going to be customers that are not comfortable with that shop.
Yeah, it's not the same ordering system as like Big Bad Toy Store, Entertainment Earth.
Yeah, because 5K for all their figures, all their pre-orders, you got to put a little deposit down.
Yeah,
every single one. So and that's fine. I mean that just shows like, yeah, I'm interested in the figure. So
and Zezre is cool, but I like a little bit more articulation, and Jason does as well. So we felt like there was a space for our ideas, and it seems like there is. And hopefully, the more we show of our ideas, it seems like the more people are excited, especially our unique ideas. We're getting a lot of feedback that they like our more unique characters that we've made more so than the homages we've made. So that's something we definitely will focus on more in the future. But right now we have what we have. It's hard to read the market beforehand. And, especially when you're starting a new toy line, you think to yourself, well, how can we get people in? So we did a little bit of both, and hopefully people like what we've created.
Yeah, I mean, I look at it and I think it reminds me of the way a Storm figure looks, Storm Collectibles, but at a significantly more reasonable price point. Like Storm is awesome, right? I think probably anybody that's ever messed with a Storm figure, they're great.
Yeah,
they are quite expensive. And they're also not the easiest things to get sometimes, at least in their height.
Right.
You know, that Mortal Kombat height, it was very hard to get your hands on that. But that aesthetic is one I like. And, you know, the beefiness appeals to me because I've kind of moved away from Marvel Legends and those kinds of things. But I still have like the Kingpin Build-A-Figures and Hulk and an Abomination and Blob, like the big chunky things.
Yeah.
You know, I heard something recently with Mondo. Mondo's, I think it's a Pixel Dan interview, and Peter was on from Mondo, and he had the vinyl Ninja Turtles that they're doing, and he used the phrase tactile nostalgia. That he was going for tactile nostalgia with those, where they look very much like the toy you had as a kid, but they're scaled up so they're in your hand and feel the same way in your adult hand as the little one did in your kid's hand. Because it's those things are like 7-ish inches, like they're not any scale, right? They're just, and that's what he was going for. I'm like, I wonder if that's why I like the big figures, because bigger in my hand feels like a toy kid. You know, there's something about it that I like.
Yeah.
I never thought about that. That's
I haven't
a good
either.
point.
Yeah.
It's the first time I had heard someone use that term, and I'm like, that's a great term, actually, to not just make you think of, but to make you feel that, like, tactile. Yeah,
well, these definitely fill your hand, so
that's what it looks
like a kid again.
Yeah, I'm scrolling. Yeah, some of these you've been updating a lot of new pictures recently.
Yeah, as we get our renders in from our main designer, Penn Norris. He goes by Daofu Yan on Instagram. We're just sharing those to get people excited, because a lot of the photos we have are based on our 1.0 body that ultimately didn't work out for us. So we redesigned it and created a much better profile and much more realistic proportions, even though they're still super big. I like to think there's some human beings this big. I remember Barbarian Twins, the 80s action movie that was low budget. And they were definitely this size. So.
Oh yeah, yeah. There are some folks that are that size.
Yeah.
You go to the Mr. Universe. I mean, those guys are humongous.
Ultimate
Arnold Classic. Yeah.
Arnold Classic. Yeah.
Arnold Classic.
Yeah, Ultimate War would be. He could play this perfect.
Perfectly.
Papa Pump. Big Papa Pump was definitely that size.
Oh yeah.
Scott Steiner.
Ferrigno.
Scott Steiner. Yeah. All of them.
Yeah.
Yeah. Me, you know.
Yeah, even James.
Yeah,
that's right. So, what is it like doing this on Kickstarter? Right. So you've had to have had investment, both time and money, into getting ready to launch. And I know you've talked. I've heard you talk on other channels about. You've had to address that you're not printing these in the garage. Like, these are going to be made in a factory. You've got the approach. You know, and people don't know. I think. It's amazing that we're in this kind of, I don't know, the golden age is the right term, but we're in this action figure Kickstarter. Maybe origin is better, because there's no other age, like
Silver Age.
And lots of people are having success on Kickstarter. But I think we were talking about Wade earlier, Unparalleled Universe. What I'm amazed at him is he got that figure out in a year, right at a year.
Yeah.
And that's not easy even for standard companies to get something out in a year. Can be a challenge. So, what's the type of work that goes into before you even launch something like this?
Well, I mean, it all started with Jason and I just throwing ideas at each other. I'm not a trained artist. I don't really speak for Jason either, but I think he isn't as well, or else we would have drawn everything out. So really the first step was to find an artist to capture our ideas and put it into a 2D art form. And that took a while, actually. And that was the first step in order to then go on to the next step. So we found an artist finally after a couple were interested and then turned us down. And that guy is Desar, and we've still with us. And I don't foresee us ever stop using him, because he really, any idea that Jason and I have, not only is he able to bring it to life, but a lot of times he improves upon it.
Yeah,
and makes it better than what we had in mind. And that is a rarity. Him and Penn and Ken are great at taking our ideas and Orbis as well, taking our ideas and improving upon it. Desar and Penn may be the best at it. No slight to the other guys, but they're the kind of the first ones to do it. So we don't have an idea before the rest of them. Anyway, so then we had the 2D art. We started making. We had a base kind of profile that we would just change the heads and the accessories on and the skin color, and that's how we started showing all these characters that we had ideas for. If you look at the earliest part of our Instagram, that'll be the first thing you see if you scroll all the way down. And then from there, we started reaching out to designers. First designer didn't work out. We had a body modeled. We started talking about articulation, and then we had a disagreement on how the articulation should be. We moved on to another designer. We worked with him for like a year just to get one body out. Still had issues once we got to prototype stage. We got 2 other designers helping us to try to fix the issues. Still had issues, and then the heavens parted, and Da Fuyan came from the sky as our personal savior, and he created the body that you see before you, and all he does is just create. And he did the renders that you see too, that look real. That people, we don't want to mislead anybody. These are renders.
Like these.
Those
like
are renders.
Those are renders.
And he's rendering the rest of our characters. So we're working on the base ones first. Crowman is next. Hopefully we see something about that next week, and then Ogun, and then we'll do Chief Mato. Penn came down, decided instead of fixing the issues that we had, like the old body, I'll show you on Crowman here. The shoulders didn't work, and the knees are a little too stocky, a little too meaty. That's
a little blocky.
Yeah, I could blame that on myself though, because I didn't describe how I wanted them.
I think you did though.
Yeah, I'll take the L on that one.
Okay.
Anyway,
all right.
So yeah, the shoulders don't actually work, so they're just like cut into it. So Penn was like, you know what, I'll fix it, and he just designed it from the ground up.
The whole body. Designed the whole body from the ground up.
And did it in like 3 weeks, which the 3 guys before him, it had been at least a year that we were working on that, and he did it in like 3-4 weeks. We just can't sing his praises enough. I'm sure he's tired of us talking about him, but we can't stop talking about him. So we look forward to just continuing with him. And if you love, he's really put us on the map and put us at the same level as these other toy companies. I like to think so, with the amount of articulation and the detail. I really think we're offering something that is as good as a lot of the big companies, and we don't have any money. So that is great that we met him. And
I see a question there from GeForce.
Oh, awesome.
Do you have any plans for support media, maybe a comic?
We have plans for everything. We already have a lot of art from Desar that I've kind of written stories next to. We posted that on our Facebook Brutal Realm. Thank you, Paisano. Grazie. Andiamo mangia. Anyway, scusi, sono americano. We are interested in 2D artwork, comic books, stop motion animation, video games. Ken Coleman, who does our packaging art, which is those beautiful like Frazetta style art. Yep. He actually does a trading card for Motu, and but not officially. So he would officially do a trading card game with us. So that's another avenue, perhaps a role-playing board game, anything you can think of. If any wrestlers want to go into business with us and do some live action, we're open to all of it. Sky's the limit, and the limit's the sky.
I like these that you've got these kind of, I call them blanks. I don't know what you're just calling them. The army builder type.
Yeah, we've changed
because I think those get.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah, we changed the name from basic. We were calling them our basic barbarians, but they deserve more than that. So we came up with the verbiage warrior barbarians. We still haven't given them a name because they're kind of army builders. So hopefully people are feeling them like you just said. Continue. I'm sorry.
Yeah, just these types of things I think are needed and popular, and especially in a Kickstarter, they're the types of things that help move the needle, because somebody may pick up 10 of these, right? Because they've got somebody that they know that makes various types of soft goods that they know they can outfit these with, or for custom heads or whatever the case may be, right? A good base body, you can get at a good price with articulation. It's not easy these days anymore,
right?
So what speaking of, I don't know that there's a way, that for people that look at this and go, I love that body, and I have 62 3D printed heads that I've bought over the years at various conventions and so forth. What type of compatibility are we talking here? Or and certainly something's going to use sticky tack and so forth. But are these going to be able to be used with other heads and such?
I mean, they should, right, Jason?
I have to use my calipers to measure the peg or the ball that goes inside the head socket. But the way it is now, it's very
live. We are live, buddy. Sorry.
Yeah, we are very close. I mean, we're gonna make this. We're gonna make sure that that it is. I wouldn't say almost completely compatible, but very close. And it comes kind of close to Mythic. I think Mythic Legions has a bigger peg, but and also a lot of designs of the head. The way it's shaped, it sits down over the neck, and some toy companies have their head sitting kind of like on top of the neck. So I don't know if it's going to be 100%.
Well, I'm probably less so the actual peg hole versus the size, right? Like,
they're definitely less.
The size, yes, definitely will be compatible with your Motu, your Mezco, your Mythic Legions, maybe some Mafex, the DKR, Dark Knight Returns.
Yeah. You can swap the heads. I've put this Batman head on this body just for fun, and a little sticky tack, and it works. So it's definitely in the we're 1/12 scale figures with the same scale heads, so it should work.
Yeah.
Unless you like big heads on beefy bodies, So
the
McFarlane heads will work on it.
Yep.
So the girth is just in the. This is a 1/12 scale that's just jacked. It's not like we were talking about Storm. Storm is certainly not 1/12 scale. They are 1/10 or even
1/10. Yeah.
Yeah. So if you pop a Marvel Legends head on a Storm, it looks ridiculous.
Right.
And that's
I've popped a Mezco Conan head on our figure's body, and it scales perfectly, in my opinion. Some people say I like tiny heads on big bodies, so maybe keep that in mind. But what was I going to say? Yeah, I forgot. Anyway, yeah. So McFarlane heads work on it. Mezco heads. The actual size of the figure is 6.75. So you have Marvel Legends Hercules. If you have G.I. Joe Classifieds, Sergeant Slaughter, that is exactly the scale. It's 6.75 inches. So keep that in mind.
And that's probably pretty close to I'm looking at my Masterverse over there. Probably similar, because those guys are a little bit bigger than a Marvel, an Iron.
Masterverse is a little taller.
They're about 7 inches. Yeah.
But I think our heads will work on their bodies and vice versa.
Yeah.
I could grab one. I've done that.
So let's talk about the actual Kickstarter itself. Let's go back to the top here. So we have a couple weeks left, 18 days to go, and you're right at about 50,000 of the 140, but that does not include funding from places like Big Bad Toy Store. Is that correct?
That's correct. And other third-party companies. Once we get funded, we'll put in orders immediately. So keep that in mind. We have hopefully a considerable bump from Big Bad Toy Store once the Kickstarter gets to the final stages. They're going to wait until the end because, orders can fluctuate, the amount of things people want to buy, and things come up. So we'll get those numbers in at the very end. So don't think of us as being funded, especially if you were to fund us now. Everyone who funds now, the closer we get to funding now, the more we're more likely to hit other tiers later on. So we're looking at the numbers and we're liking what we see. Looks like we're going to get funded. We'd like to hit the additional tiers, Chief Motto, the Great Khan, so on and so forth. So everyone back now, because people love to come out at the last moment, and we don't want anyone to miss out on the first run and wait a whole another 6 months to get the same figures.
And I think all of us are sensitive to the fact that everything is expensive these days, right? And so certainly if a person, if you don't have the money, action figures are not the thing to spend the money on if you need to spend the money on food. But and I also understand, a lot of people wait until the last second on a crowdfund. I have friends that go, "Oh, I'm going to fund it. I'm going to fund it. and then they just forget and they miss it. And with Kickstarters, with HasLabs, and if you miss it, now you're going to pay a price to get it after the fact. And I just, as a reminder, with Kickstarter, there's no transactions. I don't even think there's holds on your bank accounts or your money until there's a fund. So you can, it's not a risk to yourself. And I do understand, especially some Kickstarters are longer. I don't know how many. Was this a 45-day or 30-day?
45-day.
Yeah. So, I understand some people are like, hey, in 45 days, I don't know if I'll have $100. I don't know. Like, I may not be able to spend it then. We all get that. That's cool. But, as you get closer, especially now 2 weeks out, like get that locked in, even if it's just at a one figure, so that you can get all the updates, you can comment, you can ask questions. Looking through the comments, a lot of people are anxious for the female figures. That seems to be one people are popular, excited about. But the way Big Bad Toy Store and others is they will make an order near the end, and you won't see that reflected in your funding goal. So for all we know, we could speak it into existence. They may have already taken $150,000 of pre-orders on Big Bad Toy. We don't know.
Yeah, that's true.
Right.
That's true.
The guys may have some idea, but no one really knows.
Yeah.
And so that will come in at the last second, because that's the way that business works. That's the way they choose to do business. And so if you're waiting for or holding out, if you like it, just put even $5 down to support the team. Like, anything helps, and then you can share it, get it out there. Because I've become in my, I've been collecting forever, guys, just so long, and I have changed over my collection so many times, and you get tired of things and you move on. What I have enjoyed in the last 3 or 4 years, especially, say the post-COVID, right? COVID boom happened, and suddenly everyone is collecting. All people on earth are collecting is what it felt like. There was a recent drop of a toy, and everybody was complaining that it had sold out in 4 hours. I'm like, 4 hours? Man, go back to 2018. You were lucky if you didn't get charged 17 times for something in a 1 second sellout. Like, so in my more mature collecting years, I guess, the third party, the independent toy makers, are what I'm having the most fun with. Because it's people you meet, you interact with, you get to know, and you get something that's unlike anything else. We're talking about that tactile nostalgia. A lot of us forget. It's easy to say, I grew up playing with Ninja Turtles, and so I only like Ninja Turtles. Or I grew up playing with Spider-Man. I like Spider-Man. Ninja Turtles was no different than Brutal Realm when it came out. It was just an idea that somebody had. And we, at 7 years old, weren't going, I'm just holding out for the next Ninja. We didn't know Ninja Turtles was. Yeah. We just saw it and go, oh, look, that's cool. A big old mutant thing. I'm going to play with that. Yep. And that's what companies like yours have made me feel in recent years is, oh, cool. Like, the buzz, at least in my circles, is the most recent Mythic Legion skeleton that came out. Yeah. Yep. It's so much fun to play with. It's like sitting on my coffee table. I just carry it around and play with it. And it's not like a lot of this stuff in my room where I get it. Oh, cool. Put it on the shelf. Never touch it again. Right. Yeah. I'm playing with it. I'm carrying it around. I want to take it in the bathtub. I want to do all that,
Yeah. Good times.
That's what I do
these
with
look
my
like to me.
that's what I do with my prototype. I carry him around the house and just keep, messing around. I mean, his joints are now loose, but I still carry him around and just put him in all different kinds of poses, and just really, I mean, I admire so much Penn's ability to create something that would just blow everybody's minds. I mean, He-Man can't dual wield or two-hand a weapon. Um,
No, there's probably
that's
never been a
good.
He-Man that could do that.
Yeah. I mean,
Phil, thank you, buddy. Just pledged from the UK.
oh,
Awesome.
nice.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
Right over the head, axe. And I have to hold it together because my peg, my ball peg right here has become loose, and I stopped 3D printing, so I can't print a new one.
No worries. No worries.
Yeah.
Looking
So
great. Looking great, Jason.
yeah. So
If we can make anyone feel like their birthday or Christmas day with our figure in their hand, or walk around the house with it, that's really the goal. We're collectors, we're customizers, we're lovers of fantasy and comic books, so we just want to bring that feeling that we had when we were kids and got Grayskull, that and He-Man on the pegs, to where we are now, where we actually have money, and or pretend like we do, some of us, and play with our action figures and have fun on the coffee table while we're watching Robo and Big Dub talk about toys. So.
It's I mean, that's what it is. So let's talk about the tiers. You said, we're optimistic for a good chime in from Big Bad. So what are some of these unlockables? We got Chief Mato here.
Yeah, Chief Mato.
All this going to be deco, the art we're looking at here.
Absolutely,
Yes.
absolutely. And speaking on Big Bad Toy Store and not being able to pay right now, Big Bad Toy Store, you won't be charged until we actually manufacture these figures, send them to Big Bad Toy Store, and they have them in stock. So that's probably next year, not hopefully too far into next year, but think of that. So you can go ham on Big Bad Toy Store and wait for your loot to pile up. And then when you're ready, I mean, even then, you don't even have to pay for it even when they get it in. You wait until your pile of loot ships. So please, by all means, back us. You don't want to be missing out on these figures when they get made. So who's that? But yeah, Chief Mato, this is the new. He's talking now. Oh wow.
yeah.
Sorry. So he that's going to be his deco. We've changed his head sculpt. We've changed his body. The weapons we've kept the same. That render right there is still on the 1.0 body. So wait until you see it on the 2.0. He's going to look even cooler than he does now. And that head sculpt is done most recently by Orbis, and it really reflects more the kind of look we were going for. So hopefully people are super excited, because it seems like everyone's like, why isn't Chief Mato instead of that ripoff He-Man? So we're definitely going to bring him to you as soon as we can. So.
I have noticed that it's been fascinating in the comments, and for me, I think I'm sure for you guys a little bit encouraging too, that a lot of the more unique designs and the more diverse designs are the ones that people are saying, hey, I need this. And maybe that's a reflection of just a lot of our shelves look the same. They have a lot of He-Man, Conan type figures, but not a lot of a figure like this or the female figure,
right.
Any of those other things.
Yeah.
And this, I mean, like this stretch goal is just a little bit above the funding goal. I mean, it's just what, 10K more,
10K more, and that just funds his head sculpts and his accessories, weapons, armor, everything.
Yeah, we wish we could lower it. It's just that we're trying to pump so much into this tooling, into the initial funding, that and then we're essentially giving away the accessory kits, that hopefully people understand why he's just a little bit above and not in the initial tier. And when you're starting off a toy company, you think what can bring people in, and you might be hesitant, like we were, for our own unique designs to be the forefront. So hopefully people understand that, and next time we bring these figures to you, it'll be all unique figures. So hopefully people are excited about that. And it's very validating that hopefully it's a bit of both, that people like our unique designs the most, and it's because they don't have anything like this on their shelf. So we are definitely focusing more on our own characters, our own unique designs in the future. So,
well, and I think if the community can get this thing close to funding before the Big Bad kicks in, Big Bad probably will get it to all these tiers suddenly.
oh wow, that'd be great. That'd be great.
You would hope at least. So this guy, the great Khan, I love that wings. I guess that's what I'm calling it. I don't know. Wings.
Yeah, wings on the bow. Yeah.
Yeah, I've seen a bow and arrow a million times, and I love adding mythology and fantasy into weapons. So I thought, how can we do a bow differently, And I thought, he's a Mongolian and Asian warrior, and something that's big in that culture is the phoenix, rising from dragons. So I thought, well, actually, is the phoenix Grecian? I don't know. Anyway, I thought the phoenix bow would be dope. Hopefully it's part of Asian culture. A lot of stuff originates from them, so hopefully it does. And basically, it's an energy bow. He draws the mystical string, and arrow appears, and it's got a phoenix head on it, and it finds its target and then burns up and then comes back into the bow immediatly. So. And
is
then
this
he's got
different shading pattern here on him or at least than the one before?
Yeah. He's probably going to be a little lighter than the other characters. So we're trying to be realistic in our colors for people of different ethnicities. And if anyone watches Kung Fu movies, there's a specific character that I think he looks a lot like. So. Hopefully, if anyone's big fan,
somebody will know.
Yeah.
My man, the Owl King, looks like he's a WWE.
That's my boy. Yeah. He's one of my absolute favorites. As I tell everyone, go watch The Northman. That's where I got the inspiration for this character. The main villain has this cool Viking chainmail mask, and I thought it looked like an owl. So I had our artist design more owl features into the mask, and then we were able to transmit that into 3D. And he's got owl feather overlay, and he's got 2 Viking axes that fly and come back to him if they don't find their target. Kind of like not any Norse gods, but Kratos.
Oh yeah, yep. Now, so looking at this, are these pieces all overlay? Is it the same buck, or is this sculpted in, or will there be lots of swappable options? Because this all looks like stuff you can probably pop off. And if you got the European warrior and you wanted to put part of the owl stuff on that, then it would work.
Yes, it definitely will. It's all removable.
Okay, that's good. That's cool. So you make your own, whatever your own story is.
In designing these figures, that was heavily talked about, and we're like, you know what? Because a lot of the pieces are unique, and if we're gonna make a mold for the piece anyway, we might as well make it a removable piece, so you can swap it and put it on any other. If you want Chief Mato to have an owl motif, there you go.
Well, and I think, I would say I think probably most people agree the 4 horsemen are, sit at the top of a lot of that food chain with the independent toy company, and I think it's hard to even call them independent to some extent. But one of the things I'm amazed by when I go to conventions that they're at, and even myself, is there is no other thing I collect that I buy 2 or 4 or 6 or 10 of the same figure. Never, ever have I gone and said, oh, I need to get 6 of this Mafex Iron Man. No, never once have I done that. But I bought as many of those skeletons as I could get.
I can't blame
But I've done that with lots of things.
Yeah.
For that exact reason, I'm going to take this head and this shoulders and that, and then maybe I'm going to get a 3D part. And I think that just makes the line so much more fun to have this, because that's sitting on the ground playing with your toys like a kid. That's what the adult version of that is. We were all creating a snake eyes or popping a head off and making this whatever, fight the Hasbro Hulk Hogan or whatever the case may be, using Sharpies and making a different version. We were all doing that.
Oh yeah.
And so I think that's cool that you've got these base bodies. I also understand from the business side, it is a cost-effective measure, right? To have a body that's reusable. It makes you allowed to get more characters out, that kind of thing. But I think it's great. Like I really think that's a lot of fun. It sounds like you guys agree with that.
Yeah,
Absolutely,
definitely.
absolutely. And this isn't where we're going to stop. We're not going to be like Motu Classics, where we basically only have one body. Once we get funded with this, I mean, even within this very Kickstarter, we have Athena, which is a female body. If we get her unlocked, we actually have a primal figure where we added fur onto this body to create a whole new line of characters, a whole nother realm. Speaking of additional realms, we have primal realm within the brutal realm. So because we can't resist, characters that have fur to their bodies, there's werewolves, there's all types of characters that are hairy. So Black Panthers, lion men,
Monkeys.
monkey kings, so ape men. So we can't resist doing that. So even within this Kickstarter, we have 3 bodies. So just wait until we get funded, and next year we'll have even more. So this line's going to grow really quickly once we get the ball rolling.
I mean, and $36 for this, you're looking at the Sumerian. It's a tremendous price.
We're giving these things away. We're crazy.
Big boy, that deco looks really nice. I'm sure there's quite a bit of paint apps on this.
The golden royal blue, he's got.
I love this one. I think this is my favorite.
Yeah, underneath his beard he's got a scarf that sits right on top of his armor. It's beautiful.
I can't wait to see that character fully realized, because we've only really seen him in 3D renders, and I'd love to see him completely realized, because he's definitely one of my favorites. So I had a lot of fun creating this character. He's kind of my version of Gilgamesh, just shorter. And that scimitar, and then I am stealing from a very famous mythology with the Spear of Destiny. So hopefully people like all that.
Yeah. So within this realm, do you think you'll continue to do things that have some inspiration of history, myth, whatever the case? Because just looking at this, I'm like, what, things like a Goliath, right? Mm-hmm. That is not necessarily, we have the biblical adventures coming out, several biblical toys, but isn't themed like that, but just is a Goliath or a Philistine or you go into Genghis Khan or whatever, things that are like that are not necessarily this is Genghis Khan, but it's like, I think that's cool. The historical, you see that with the Zezre, the Roman Praetorians,
right. Yeah.
I'm crazy over.
Yeah,
because it's a thing you see, it's a thing you understand and And I think one of the challenges of a new IP is you're not getting the hook of somebody that goes, "Oh, I know He-Man, I buy He-Man." You have to convince them, right? You have to convince them why you should buy it. So when it does have some inspiration from history or myth or whatever, I think that ties in. So I like that. I think that's probably why I like this guy and the story in Gilgamesh. It's like, oh yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, he could definitely work as a Goliath, especially if you have like a true 1/12 scale figure, or like a Mezco Robin. You could turn that into Daniel. And this could work, with some perspective. Could work as a Goliath. I love the idea of Goliath. I think there's a movie that has my favorite rendition of Goliath. I'll have to look it up, but definitely do. I minored in history. I went to school to be a teacher. Minored in history. I love mythology. So I would definitely impart all of these great characters throughout history. And you're going to see little bits here and there. And it's just we're going to have fun with it. It's not going to be an exact replica of what people think this character looked like. We're definitely going to add a little bit more fantasy, a little bit more alchemy, magic,
a little bit more badassery.
Absolutely. But it's going to be fun. Hopefully people come along for the ride.
So you got Grim Skull, the first real like villainy character.
Yeah.
And wanted to put him earlier on, but he's a premium figure because he's got a cloth cape. So had to put him a little further down. A lot of new tooling. We're going to give him new boots that have more of a sole to them to make him taller than the other characters, because a big baddie's got to be a big baddie. So
Yep.
he's going to be a little taller. He's going to have that cloth cape. He's going to have a translucent sword there that kind of gives the effect of glowing red, and hopefully people are excited to get him too.
Yeah, he looks cool.
Yeah.
He looks cool. And then we get into the army,
The Shadow Army, the Shadar. Yeah.
And that color scheme there is a little bit of artistic license by our designer. If you scroll down, that's actually going to be the color scheme we're going with. We're going to redo that artwork above, but I couldn't resist showing it. So hopefully we're not confusing too much.
I mean, it's cool artwork. Yeah, it's cool.
It is. Yeah, it is awesome.
So it's going to be more blue and black and metallic. Hopefully people like that color scheme. And maybe for like PowerCon, we do more purple and like a green, tint on the face to harken to other characters. But we want to make them more unique by doing that color scheme that you see there.
So these are troopers, like bad guy troopers.
Yeah. And one figure comes with 3 different face plates. So if you just buy one, you'll get all 3 different head sculpts, or you could buy all 3 and then you'll have 9 head sculpts. So and all 3 of them are part of the all-ins that we have, where you buy everything we'll create. So when people do the math and are looking for the additional characters, you got to count those as 3. So
you get all 3 if you do the all-in there.
If you do certain all-ins, the ones that are buy everything we could possibly make, that one has all 3 of these.
Yep. I mean, that's I know with recently with Animal Warriors of the Kingdom, their new one, I think that was a big success for them. That just everything we could ever unlock, everything ever, buy this. And then here's the one people are talking about a lot, Athena. And I mean, the Zezere female bucks are impossible to get.
They are.
We've heard.
It's a desirable thing. But I think, with the shield, that looks like the helmet lifts.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. The visor does.
We wanted to give 2 head sculpts for one, but because she's all new tooling, new accessories, we decided to go with a hinged helmet, and to make sure that the helmet fits properly and the hair doesn't look ridiculous when you take the helmet on. It's all fitted on, so the hinge goes up and down, and she'll have kind of a bit of expression to her face. Nothing too extreme, but she'll have a little bit of sauce to her. But of course, her eyes will not be staring off in one direction. They'll be straight on. I hate when that happens. I hate when they do that.
I mean, she would lay waste to all of us, I believe.
Oh, yeah. And I would enjoy every moment. Not that I'm into muscle mommies, but hey, she's gonna be a beautiful woman. And if you look at that picture below, that's actually what Penn is designing right now. We put the 2D art over the 3D sculpt. We're in the process right now of cutting articulation. With that, we're going to change a little bit of the proportions. The shoulders are going to be a little more feminine. The waist is going to be a little bit smaller as well, but those hips are going to stay right where they are. And if you could see her from the side and behind, you'd be very happy. So
you can see a little bit there.
Yeah, and her articulation is going to mirror the males as well. So we're not going to cut any corners with the articulation for the females.
Absolutely.
Man collects. Thank you, buddy.
Thanks, the man.
Thank you.
Let's go here. Yeah, King Arthur. Yeah, that's what I say. Andrew, King Arthur, Gilgamesh. This is not this one. That's what I want. There we go. I successfully navigated that. I'm proud of myself.
Good job, man.
So you talked about PowerCon. Let's see. We've got Joe Lanta coming up here in just 5 or 6 weeks.
Yeah.
Something like that. It'll just be a couple weeks after this ends. You guys are going to be there. Is that right?
Yeah. Brett has been just an amazing person to work with. I've always enjoyed running into him at what is it? Not Joe. Um, help me out.
Toyland or
Toylanta, and then what else? What's the other one he does
Joe
here?
Fest is in Augusta.
Yeah, I'm not talking about that one.
Yep.
He doesn't do Joe Fest, right?
Toylanta, he does some in Tennessee too.
Okay. Yeah,
Yep.
but at Toylanta, it's always a pleasure to run into Brett, and he's extended a warm welcome to us at Joe Lanta, and we are excited. We're going to have our packaged artist there, Ken Coleman. We're going to have a lot of his artwork blown up so people can see how awesome it looks.
He just did art for Joe Lanta, didn't he?
Yes, he did. He did Cobra Commander.
The Cobra Commander.
Yeah.
I think
Him and Brett are really cool. And once you talk to Ken and once you talk to Brett, you'll see why they like each other so much. They're both very cool individuals. And we can't wait to get some of that Irish charm here in Atlanta. And we might even be doing a panel talking about his artwork and maybe talking about Brutal Realm. So we're excited. And we'll have printed prototypes that are painted as well at Joe Lanta so people can see what they are buying. And we may even have some surprises there as well. So,
nice. Yeah, that's excited to see. I think a lot of us watch Robo, and his tone about a product always changes once he can see it, and it's not just like concept art. Like that's when he puts the pre-order in, is what seems to occur for him at least. Which I think we're all the same way to an extent. It's like, what's this really going to look like? I mean, especially, I guess, thematic for what we're talking about. What just happened with the Mattel Snake Pit, where it looked very different than the concept art, and people were upset, and various other reasons too. But you don't want that bait and switch. Even though I don't think creators are intentionally doing that. Right? There's a business reason that's occurring, and one of the things I appreciate about my real world is, I have to negotiate contracts and all sorts of various things, right? And you understand that people like you guys this is a passion project. It's love and love for the hobby, love for the thing. If you have to make a choice that maybe not all fans agree with, it's not because you didn't want to do it. It's because there's dollars and cents tied up, or there's just other reasons that may not even be money. Like, hey, we just practically cannot do that. Like, I can't make it work. I want to make it work and I can't. And I think it's important for consumers to have some understanding of that. It's different with if McDonald's gives you food poisoning, that's not okay, right? But even at that scale, should they even serve you something that's maybe not cold? It's a little bit cold. Your fries are cold. But when that scale is not like that, it's sometimes you just have to understand this is the product and here it is. And I think right now you guys have an excellent product that's out there ready. What's the plastic like? So I can think of plastics in different ways. You've got Select Diamond plastic and McFarlane plastic, which are both pretty hard. You've got on the other side Loyal Subjects Best Action plastic that's gummy bears most of the time. And then you've got a lot of what you see from Hasbro and Mattel or a lot of places. But then in the independent world, a Valaverse figure feels similar to a Four Horsemen figure, to an Animal War. They all have a similar kind of feel.
They do. Yeah.
That is a little bit more, I would say, rigid. I don't know if that's the right word. Like Hasbro.
Yeah,
hence why you always get the warnings. You got to blow dry this, heat it up.
Right.
You don't usually get that with a Hasbro figure, but that's just a scale issue, I think, probably more than anything else. What kind of plastic is it? Or is it Storm? Is it the rubbery type of thing?
No.
Yeah.
We're using ABS and also PVC. So we're going to have, for the joints mainly, it's going to be ABS because we don't want them to break at all. Somebody's going to break something. I'm rough. I'm a little heavy-handed with my action figures sometimes, and I break stuff. So, and that's just me being impatient, trying to swap stuff in kit bash. But
absolutely.
And then the PVC for the main body parts. So a little bit soft, a little give here and there, especially the hands, because you don't want them to wrap their big gnarly fingers around a hefty freaking axe. Yeah, and also the feet, right? Because you want to be able to pop them off and put on some bare feet and take the greaves off. And the torso, you want to be able to pop that off so you can take off the belt and loincloth. And
Yeah, I
the
think
armor, the
that
chest harnesses and the bands, they're going to be a nice, a good mix, not complete soft plastic, but a something that is versatile where it'll bend and give, right. You're not gonna risk breaking it, because we want those pieces to be removable and to be reusable over and over and over.
yeah, as a collector made line, we all collect different things, and there's just sometimes that you get a really good toy, and then you want to change out a belt or something, and you try to put the new one on. You're like, whoever designed this never has changed a belt.
Yes.
Like,
Oh yeah.
it looked fine in your 3D modeling, and the factory just did what you told them to do, but you've never taken your thumbs and tried to put this thing in. It just doesn't
Exactly.
work.
Yeah.
And maybe that's part of why I've fallen in love with a lot of the independent toy companies, because it feels like they know, like, hey, you don't want this tiny peg. I love a lot of import companies, but sometimes their pegs are so small, so short,
Right.
the handle just fall out no matter
Yep.
what. And it's like, why that 2 millimeters of plastic can't be the cost. It just is. They just made it that way. So I have a feeling you've made these to be played with and changed around, and not just put in a statue and leave it alone.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're going to be using the same factory as Wade's Odious figure, Unparalleled Universe, and even though our styles are completely different, everyone seems to be very happy with the feeling of that figure.
Yeah.
It definitely came out the way Wade wanted it to, after some back and forth with the factory. We've designed our figure. The factory's already looked at our files. They're liking what they're seeing. David Vonner's our production manager. He's loving what he's seeing. He likes the amount of work we put into before even going to the factory. Our figures are, he says, ready to go on the factory floor, whereas sometimes when you're developing a figure, it's not ready for the factory. From Vonner's lips to your ears, our figures are ready to go. We might make some tweaks, especially with the shoulders, the design of it, but other than that, we want the shoulders to have a little bit more detail and have more of a teardrop, kind of a peach look. But anyway, and also I was watching, speaking on to the point of the pegs, I was watching Brad DC Universe talk about the new Dark Side figure and how the arms just pop out, and then there's no range in the hips. And I don't know why McFarlane keeps using that hip joint, when if they just turned it into a ball joint, which is cheaper, they'd get more range and it would work better. But that's neither here nor there. But we're people that play with our figures. So if there's no way our figures aren't going to be fun to play with. I mean, these 3D printers, these 3D printed figures that Jason made, I'm loving just posing this bad boy up.
Oh, I'm going to ask to play with it at Jolana. I'm just going to tell you right now, I want to play with it.
Touch it.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna touch it.
What's that thing you say? Is that it? Touch it.
You can squeeze it. I don't know that we would. I would all of it. Take some pictures of it.
Yeah.
Back it up.
I think that's so. I have an Odious. I have one, and it's great quality. It's great quality, and that's
great to hear.
It's not just Wade's done a great job of the brand and the IP of that and building excitement. But it's not like that. There weren't 15,000 of those produced. It was a very, it's low, and but it came out great. The figure itself, the soft goods are really good, but the figure itself has, it feels good in your hand. You can play with it, move it around. It doesn't, it doesn't do the split suddenly. So I think that's a good sign, and a good sign right now, actually, as lots of people are getting their Odious figures. To promote that it's the same factory will be making this. So that's, the same level of craftsmanship, because that's one of the things I've learned. I've picked up a lot of figures, some made in different countries and different things. And the artists they always know what they're doing, right? There's a lot of very talented people. You don't decide to make an action figure if you don't like have a certain level of skill and creativity. You know, I'm not making an action figure. I also could not draw anything, or I might come up with some concepts, but I'd have to have heavy help, right? So you have a certain level of creativity in whatever the part of the process you work on. But if the factory can make it or not is kind of out of everybody's control, right? And so coming out of that factory, I think is a positive thing for you guys.
Definitely.
Yeah. And what's great about these factories is that they mirror whatever the style is. So Odious looks exactly like Wade's style. They'll be able to, from Vonner's assurances, match our style. So our style is a little bit more detailed, not to put down Wade, but there's a comic look to his stuff. And ours is a little bit more on the realistic side, even though our proportions are a little crazy. So they'll be able to match whatever we give them paint wise with our paint masters from Nico Hodge, who's working on new ones right now. And if you've ever seen any of Artman Customs work, he works for Gentle Giant. So we've got another incredibly talented individual bringing these figures to you. So keep that in mind.
So let's talk a little bit about both of you and how you and we'll bring it back full circle to where we are. Are you both, are you lifetime collectors? Are you, I collected as a kid, or I played with toys as a kid, and then I got interested in girls or sports or school or fill in the blank reason. I think everybody that I've had on has a similar story. It's just especially that part, and then I got interested in blank. Is different for everyone. Kind of what are your stories, your background to get to where you are today?
Before Jason gets mad at people for questioning his childhood experiences.
Don't question me.
Before he tells that story. I was a lifetime collector when I really think about everything, and Transformers is actually what carried me from childhood, from my teenage years. Lego too. I was a big Lego fan all the way through my teenage years to adulthood. I actually made one of the first transforming Optimus Primes. You can find it on Brickshelf under my name backwards. But Transformers and Lego are what bridged the gap for me. And then I picked up a few Toy Biz Marvel Legends, and then the one figure that really it was all right, let's start collecting everything, was Diamond Select's Destroyer. Their Marvel Select Destroyer.
Great figure. Still to this day, a great figure.
It's still to this day a great figure. I don't know why for the life of me.
Big and beefy too. Maybe that's where the beefy comes from. These are big and beefy.
Before that, I had bought Diamond Select's Juggernaut 5 years before that or something. But that still didn't activate okay, now you need everything. But that figure, I don't know why they haven't done a Thor Destroyer version of that same figure. Just throw a cape on and you can reprint it. Anyway, so it was that figure, and then that was when that figure came out. It was a Return of Marvel Legends, and so I bought the new Thor. I think I started buying, all the figures that came out, and then that classic X-Men Marvel Legends Juggernaut wave came out, and that was it. NECA's Planet of the Apes figures, which are still my coffin figures to this day. That was it, and I just started collecting, and now I have an office full of figures just everywhere, and that's why I'm out here in my living room, because
what's your, besides your own toys, what's your favorite things to collect now today?
Right now, G.I. Joe Classifieds is just and I have so many I haven't opened. I still haven't opened my His Tank.
I haven't either. I have two.
Either.
Yeah, and what my plan is I have my stack of classifieds is getting out of control. My plan is on Christmas Day. This is sad, to open them all up in front of the Christmas tree, and
that's awesome.
Hey, that's fun.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
Because one of my favorite Christmases, Jason will soon tell us, is when I got Sergeant Slaughter's Warthog. That is one of my all-time favorite toys. And so yeah, I'm gonna open that up. But Classifieds right now is my favorite. The Mafex Dark Knight Returns Batman and Superman are probably my two favorite action figures ever right now because of the big chunky boys.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Big
I like
boys.
women though. But yeah, that and what else? I was collecting Mezco, but it's just Conan now. But they're gonna get me back into them with the new Doc Nocturnal. I just can't.
Oh yes. That
Yeah,
looks good.
it's badass. Yeah.
And Jada Toys, everything Jada Toys.
Oh my god, yeah.
Everything Jada Toys makes right now. Everything.
You know, they're an interest. It's for a conversation for another day because we're talking about you guys today. But they're an interesting toy company.
They are.
What are they? I mean, they're in Walmarts and Targets, and you know they've made quite a bit of money selling diecast and all of that. But their figure line is so new, and as I understand it, it's just a couple people working on their action. Yeah, doing like one or two other people.
Yeah. He is. Sorry.
I'm just there. I know that the Capcom license is not the same thing as a Disney license, but it also is not the Dollar Tree. So they're having to pay for that Capcom license for Mega Man and Street Fighter.
Yeah.
And they're producing those things at that quality. I think they're a remarkable story.
And now the Hanna-Barbera
Scooby-Doo
figures, man. And they're cartoony looking and they have the articulation to go with it. It's just I'm like all in on Jada, in on everything they make. It's all gold.
I'm scared of the day. Thank goodness he was on Toy Migos recently, and he said he has no interest in doing Thundar the Barbarian.
Oh, thank God.
I'm so scared if he starts making Barbarian figures.
Oh my God,
like Herculoids or Thundar or
well, in the cyberpunk stuff they're making.
Oh man,
with cloth goods for that price.
With cloth goods, yeah.
Crazy.
Yeah, I'm impressed by them. Before Jason, you go. I come back to his thing. I am in my personal collecting. I have reached a playset and vehicle apocalypse where I have the third-party turtle van right there, whatever that was.
Me too. I have that too.
I have a Super 7 one. I have a NECA one. I have the NECA sewer layer. I have the Super 7 Thundertake. I have Snake Mountain. I have Classics Castle Grayskull. I have Eternia. I pre-ordered the Cat Slayer. Now, very little of that is out of the box because it's like, okay, what? And of course, the Cat Slayer hasn't come in, and I don't know if you guys ever got to see that in person.
No, I didn't.
I mean, it was. It was one of these weird things where it's like, okay, that's ridiculous. There's just nowhere to put that. And then I saw it at PowerCon. I'm like, oh, I have to order that. Even though seeing it, I'm like, it's even more ridiculous than I thought it was. I mean, it's like 5 feet tall.
Jesus Christ, man.
It took everything in me not to get the Thunder Tank because I used to make a Thunder Tank out of Legos when I was a kid.
Thunder Tank, man. It's good. Man. It's discounted on a lot of places these days.
It's amazing how it's gone down in price. I wish it had a little bit more detail to it. That's my only issue with it.
Yeah, I was just going to say the same. Yeah,
I'm very happy with my third-party Turtle
Van is good.
I haven't opened the NECA one, but I'm very happy with the third-party Turtle.
What third-party Turtle Van is that?
It's like underground something underground. It's a long time ago now. And if you ordered that thing right when it got showed, it was like $110 or something.
Oh my God!
And it's the size of the Super 7 one. It's big.
It's huge, and it's awesome. It's awesome.
God,
you have to apply the turtles. They give you a bunch of letters, including letters not in the word.
Not in there. It reminds you. Remember Alphabet Soup when you were?
Yes. It felt like yes.
Yeah, or Alphabet Cereal too.
Yes. Oh my gosh!
But then I got 2 Hiss tanks. I've got the helicopter coming. Of course, I had the Rattler.
Dragonfly,
2 Dragonfly. And then just the regular vehicles that are in the main line from Joe.
Oh, I have the Jeep. I still haven't opened that either.
Oh my God.
I'm legitimately. I've decided I'm going to do this. Most of our shelves are just here's 100 figures stuck into a shelf. It's like not to criticize it, but like what Jason has. That's what you do. You just figure out a way to display your figures. I think I'm going to take a lot down and try to get some of these big playset or vehicles with just one or two figures, like, and just make
Yeah.
a much more kind of impactful
Yeah.
display, and put it and try to cycle it through, like almost like a
Cycle
curated
it. You got to
museum.
rotate them. You got to rotate them.
Do you still
Yeah.
have that wall of Hot Toys?
I have a lot of 6 scale, but no, I sold a lot of those
Yeah.
at the so I had a big fire sale back in at the right time to sell Hot Toys. I will just tell you, it was at the right time.
Oh man.
And for instance, it was before, at the time I sold, they had never announced a re-release. They'd never re-released anything. So, for instance, the Iron Man Mark 47, the silver one from Spider-Man, that was apparently very, very short ordered, because the Civil War had like 30 Marvel Hot Toys. And then Guardians of the Galaxy 2 had a bunch. And the Spider-Man, the retailers didn't order them because they had too much money out on the other ones. So that was apparently very low. I sold that thing for like $3,700.
Jesus.
And they announced the re-release like a month later.
My Mezco, I mean,
And that was just on eBay. It flew. The auction flew.
my Hot Toys Keaton Batman is only worth $600. That's crazy.
It wasn't at the end of 2020. It was worth more than that then.
That's right.
Yeah, I mean, I
never would have sold it then.
Mezco and most of my Hot Toys at that time, and I mean, I paid off my parents' home. That's one of the things I did with that money.
Wow, man.
So it was the right time to do it, and I just had too much. And that's when I started to get into the independent companies. And in my mind, I'm like, the things I have affinity for, what I grew up with: Ninja Turtles, G.I. Joe. That's what I wanted to collect. At the time, Classified had just started, and the only place you could buy Ninja Turtles was once a year at Comic-Con. Well, that ain't true anymore. You guys could have Ninja Turtles if you'd like. It seems like anyone that would like to is allowed to make Ninja Turtles these days.
We just might too.
It's overwhelming. But yeah, so it's a lot. And I want to appreciate things more, and also have a tub of stuff that, like, I can just get out and play with, and I don't have to. I tend not to play with things that are on the shelf, because I've finally got my shelf set up.
Oh.
Yeah.
And I don't want to take it down and 13 things go flying off.
I know.
Yeah. So, I'm rethinking things. But so, Jason, what about you? What's your collecting origins and stuff?
It all started
in 1983.
1982, December 1982.
Yeah.
I mean, before that Christmas of 1982, before, I was 5, right? I don't remember playing with toys. Like, I don't remember any toys at all.
Yeah.
Like, seriously, I can remember when I was 3. I can remember when I was 2. I can remember when I was 4. I was outside all the time, just, being a wild little kid, getting my ass beat with switches. But like when I was 5, that was it. That was the point at which I started collecting. Like it didn't stop. It slowed down because I didn't have a lot of money, but it started. I mean, I had the Dragonfly.
Wow.
I had the Wolverine, G.I. Joe. I got a bunch of D&D figures. I got 2 He-Man figures. I got Man-at-Arms and Triclops. I freaking did get them 1982 Christmas. What else did I? I mean, I got a bunch of shit, and that's where it all started. And then from that point on, my older brother, he's exactly 10 years and 3 days older than me. So he influenced Spider-Man heavily. He had a lot of original Amazing Spider-Man issues, and he gave me a copy of his Death of Gwen Stacy, the original.
Wow.
So then but my staple through childhood was G.I. Joe and Star Wars, right? And then when I think, how old was I? I was 10 years old, 10 or 11. At Ames in New Hampshire when I lived in Vermont. New Hampshire was just literally a walk across the street.
That's Hasbro land up there, New Hampshire.
Yeah. Playmates. I saw my very first Ninja Turtle. It was Donatello. I was like, I have to have him. Like, what is it? I need a Ninja Turtle.
Yeah.
So I picked up Donatello.
Something about that.
What's that?
I said there's just something about Ninja Turtles.
Yeah. And the little accessory pack that came with their little
and it had you had to take it out of the factory thing. I don't know why. And it was all the same color. There was no paint on it.
Yeah.
I love that to this day. I still want it.
Yeah. Yep. So I started collecting, and then I was like, well, I have him. If there's 3 more figures, I'm gonna get those, and I'm gonna get the villains, Shredder and Bebop and Rocksteady. So I got them all.
You're like me. We were victims of what Congress reversed 10 years later of the. No, you can't do this to kids. But like, I'd turn around that back and be like, "Oh, there's 9 more. Okay,
Yeah,
those I need those."
yep.
I'm against
Exactly.
a lot of stuff the government does, but man, I think we should roll those regulations right
A bit sooner. Yeah, we might have more money in the pocket.
It created the best toys and the best cartoons.
They destroyed Saturday morning cartoons. They destroyed it. They got rid of all those cartoons like in a row because they didn't want kids sitting in front of the TV for that long a period of time on a Saturday morning when they could be out playing or whatever.
Look at them now, though. They're just glued to the phone, you know.
Oh yeah,
So,
yeah, exactly.
So, I mean, I feel like we were at the end of the best childhood. Like the 90s is literally the end of.
That was the end.
The great childhood, you know.
Yep.
So.
Yep. So
hopefully I'm wrong. I don't know.
Yeah.
You guys have kids. I don't. So.
Well, my kids, none of them collect, and they're in their 20s. They don't.
She collects. I mean, she's glued to the phone too, but she collect. You know, and she likes to go to cons and cosplays, and she's a good. She's a good
man.
mix.
That's awesome.
Mix of stuff.
Yeah. That's awesome.
Yeah, we have fun.
Yeah. So from my childhood in the teens, I collected. I mean, even when I was a child, I collected Mask. I collected Sky Commanders. I collected Visionary. I collected Thundercats. Yeah, Sky Commanders. Hell yeah!
I had the big base that you hit the button and then the wings folded out to be like a fortress.
Yeah.
I love Sky Commanders.
Oh man, yeah, it was so freaking cool.
And your favorite Starcom?
Oh
yeah.
Starcom.
I mean, can you see right
there? Do you have some Starcom here? Let me put you in the Soule.
Hold on a second.
See some Starcom. Oh, now we're solo on the cheeks.
He's a Marine.
Oh yeah.
Oh, that was my toy. Oh, I love. Yes, it still works.
Oh,
I
that's
love
cool.
that thing.
Man, oh my God, man.
That was my Millennium Falcon.
Yeah.
My what was that Mask helicopter that the bad guy had?
Oh yeah.
And drop the
Mayhem.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, Mayhem. Yeah.
That was my everything.
It was the helicopter to turn into the plane.
Yeah. Oh, love Starcom, dude.
Still completely functional. Wow.
Yeah. The magnets. I mean,
the cartoon was okay. It's definitely better than He-Man. But it was funded by NASA, or like it was funded by NASA.
Landing gear. I mean, everything.
People don't know that.
Thing. Yep. So I mean, Starcom, man. Oh my God, I had to get every. I even brought them to school when I was in middle school. I brought my GI Joe to school. I brought my Starcom to school. I brought my Ninja Turtles to school. I mean. Good Lord. Anyway, so
I didn't bring anything.
We had show and tell. That's when you bring figures.
But I was like 13, 14 bringing
You're younger,
to
school,
James.
man.
You're younger, I think.
I'm older than you, Doug.
Are you older than me?
Yeah, I'll be 45 September.
Well, you didn't bring figures for show and tell. You didn't have show and tell.
I grew up in Newark, New Jersey, sir.
Oh, okay.
And you got your ass
very different than the South.
You're gonna get it. We moved down here in '91 when I was 11, and I was too poor to have toys then. But back in Jersey, no, you didn't bring no toys. Every toy I brought, it got stolen. So didn't like me bringing toys.
Yeah,
you bring your duplicates and try to convince somebody to trade.
We did Joe trades, man. We definitely did some Joe trades.
I never had any duplicates, but
yeah, yeah.
Cut some grass, man.
There's no grass in Newark.
That's true.
Literally our playground is still to this day a parking lot at Florence Avenue Elementary School, Irvington, New Jersey.
Man,
anyway, good times.
Yeah. We all have different experiences, but end up at the same place.
But when we moved down here to Georgia, it was good times. Good times.
Yeah. So then middle school, Jason, and what happens?
Oh, so then. So after middle school, I mean, I'm still collecting GI Joes, and then they stopped putting out GI Joes. They stopped making them around the 90s, right? And then Toy Biz started releasing their really
5-inch Marvel stuff.
Yeah, the 5-inch.
Yeah,
it looked horrible, like Spider-Man with the suction cups on his hands.
Yeah.
I got it anyways. It was Spider-Man. So and then and then Spawn, McFarlane stuff started coming. I was more into comic book. I started collecting comic books. I got the X-Men, just X-Men, not Uncanny, but X-Men #1 by Jim Lee.
Yeah.
I got those. I got that. I got all the Image comics. I was so into Image. I got freaking Youngblood, Wildcats, Spawn, all #1s, and issue zeros, which came with like that hard piece of cardstock in it that you could like take it out and send for a comic. And I was all into that. And then I started seeing like McFarlane toys coming out. They're more statuesque, but I still collected those.
I mean, for all the grief that Todd gets these days, I mean, he was very, very, very influential in changing the toy industry with those early Spawn figures.
Hell
like, wait, you can have this kind of deco and this, this kind of these accessories, and
I think
just like in comics, right? I mean, the Image group just transformed everything.
It did.
I think the 90s was the first time we saw, other than model trains, people transitioning from childhood to adulthood and still collecting because of Spawn and McFarlane, and also the Power of the Force, the Star Wars. So kids that had collected in the 70s, they're recollecting with Power of the Force, and then the new Star Wars movie. And I think the 90s was the precipice for that. Continue on. Everyone is still collecting to this day.
So, Jason, you were hot in the comics at that era. Did you get a Death of Superman and lock it away, thinking it's going to be worth $5 million one day?
I did, but I don't know, because I joined the Marine Corps. I had all my comics in the the comic box, and they were all in their little slips. And I didn't open up my Death of Superman at all. So I joined the Marine Corps. Went to boot camp, and I got stationed at freaking Quantico, right down the street from Winchester, where I graduated high school. So I didn't go far. Joined the Marine Corps, see the world. I didn't. So I went back. And my freaking X-Men #1 was gone. My Spawn 1 through 4 were gone. And I was living at my aunt and uncle's house, so I think my cousin had gotten my comics and just sold them off.
Yeah.
So my Death of Superman freaking gone. Oh. God damn.
I have a wall of graded comics. Most people who watch the channel have seen that. I have on my channel, and I've got a Death of Superman 9/8. And somebody asked me, "Why do you have that? It's not even worth what it took to grade it." I'm like, it's not about worth. It is a very important piece of comics history. It doesn't matter that there's 50 million of them out there. It's if you're gonna display the history of comics, that's a big part of it. Like that changed, not in a great way either, the comics industry, right? It kind of broke us away from even though we're back there right now, but the 62 variants of everything. And,
oh my God.
And all this. It's an important part of
I think Todd would learn from that. And he's doing it in the toy industry.
Yeah.
It's like, didn't we learn this lesson with comic books? Why are we doing it again with action figures? I don't know.
Well, people were asking him, and he did say that, if he were to make a character that's not as well known as Batman, he's not going to sell 1 million of them. But if it's a different version of Batman, he can sell 1 million of them. It's all about the money.
Yeah, but then he's also doing like gold and versions of it and stuff, and it's like, I don't know.
And still using pins, still showing pins, and they're freaking.
Customizers say the pins are good for customizing, which they're right. You just swap it. But even a shitty customizer like myself, I prefer no pins.
Yeah, same.
But anyway, sorry, I got sidetracked.
So in the Marines, are you picking stuff up and stashing it away, or does it just stop while you're?
Well, I didn't. It slowed down greatly in the Marine Corps. I still have my Spawn. I displayed on my bookcase, and I was still collecting comic books. Not a lot of them, just a very few, and because I didn't have a lot of money. I mean, enlisted, you make jack crap. I mean, I made enough just barely to pay my freaking car payment. And I was living in the barracks. I didn't have to pay for food. I didn't have to pay for housing. I only had to pay for a telephone, a landline in my room, and I used that for my dial-up service. So
for AOL.
Yeah. So I mean,
I thought you were gonna say you used it to call Don West when he'd sell baseball rookie cards late night on the TV. Y'all remember that?
Yeah.
You can get this Mickey Mantle rookie card right now.
Yeah. Oh
I
my
remember the
God.
sword guys. I
Yeah,
loved
yes, the
watching
sword guy
sword-
too. Yes,
Loved watching the sword guys.
yes.
Yeah.
I
What
would.
was
That
that
is
channel
one of the.
69 here?
I don't. It was on a channel like it was on a high channel, and I would stay up late to watch the sword guy.
Yeah,
Which I guess it still sticks because there's still probably kids that at least a little while ago were staying up or trying to find the flex tape guy.
Ooh,
I think that's the modern sword guy. It's the
Yeah.
the flex seal and the flex tape and all that.
Oh my God. The Flex Seal. Yeah.
Dude, have you tried it? Don't knock it till you try it.
I have.
No, I
It's
haven't.
freaking awesome.
I mean,
It's
I have not
awesome.
encountered a bathtub that I have pierced with a samurai sword. So, I mean,
Are you living? Are you really living? What are you
Huh?
doing with your life?
Yeah, I have plenty of swords that just don't go in the bathtub.
Oh,
Yeah.
I'm bro.
Yeah.
Well, at least not the 1-to-1 scale ones. The brutal realm ones will go in the bathtub.
Hey,
That'll happen.
let's go.
That's right. They will.
Wait till we come out with a what is it? Atlantean?
An
Oh.
aquatic.
Yeah, what are they called? Not a merman. A merman.
Atlantean. I mean,
Yeah.
Like a merman, but
Yeah.
not a.
Yeah, we got some ideas.
Yeah.
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 Put them in your bathtub with a mermaid.
No.
Anyway, go ahead, Jason. Sorry.
Oh no.
So how do you get to this wall of toys behind you? I mean, is this post Marines?
Yeah, so I was unhappily married for 15 years, where I collected through my kids. Like I bought them the figures that I wanted, and I still have them in boxes over in the garage. And I wasn't allowed to buy toys for myself or display them in any way. And then it was just a horrible marriage. And thank God I have 3 kids from her. But so, and then like 8 years ago, I met the woman of my dreams. I mean, absolutely woman of my dreams. And I'm like, I collect action figures. And she's like, awesome. Yeah. She loved that it brought out the kid in me, the nostalgia and the giddiness that I get when I freaking, when I buy something or when I order and the package arrives on the door. So, I mean, this is all her supporting me. So,
Awesome.
yeah, this is like recently, like I cleared. We were gonna build
Your
a
Amazon
house.
order from yesterday.
Well, yeah,
You could do it. You could do it.
all
can.
this was all my shelves were clear. Like last year, and then I slowly bought more stuff. And so, if you ask me what I collected the most of,
Yeah.
every goddamn thing.
But you collect vintage too, clearly, because you just whipped out the functional vehicles.
You
Yes.
gotta buy that though.
Oh yeah, yeah.
That's one of my Grail toys that you have right there. I need that. I need that. The mask, Hurricane. Those 2 are like my absolute grails.
Yeah.
Not the mask playset, the gas station. What's that called?
No, my best friend / brother had like all the toys I didn't have. So it's like that and the Mayhem helicopter thing,
Yeah.
and then Sergeant Slaughter's Warthog. If Classified ever does that damn Warthog,
Oh my god.
God, I need it.
Yeah.
But yeah,
They're gonna do it.
yeah, I hope so.
Yeah, they definitely gonna.
I hope so.
They have to. I mean, they already have 2 Sergeant Slaughters.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, 2, right? With the Marauder. There's only 2?
The Marauders,
Just
the
the,
Marauders,
the first one and then the Marauders one.
Yep.
You might be thinking the Valorverse one.
Oh yeah, because there's 2 there too.
Yeah.
Or 3 or more. There was a lot with Valorverse.
Yeah.
That's right.
That's a good figure. It looks good.
Yeah.
Yep. So, I mean, I'm collecting G.I. Joe Classified, the Motu Revelations. I collect all the Marvel Legends. I mean, anything Spider-Man, I'm pretty much collecting all that. And third party, like World of Warcraft. If a figure looks like any character from World of Warcraft, hell yeah, I'm getting it.
Oh, the act like they're not Storm collectibles Warcraft stuff.
There's those
5K
toys.
That's Mithril. That's Mithril Studios, and there's also Hero. I think it's Heroes.
Yes,
Hero
I know what you're
toys.
talking about.
And then there's a memory
Toys.
studios.
Yeah.
They're all making orcs and stuff, and now they're making murlocs, and they're making like undead stuff. They're making what else are they making? Oh, who the hell made? Who was it that made Illidan Storm Rage? Who
made the
that?
pandas? That's Warcraft. That's Memory
Yeah,
Toys?
the pandas are Warcraft.
Memory
There's 2 companies, Memory Toys and another one.
I don't know. Those companies also change names all the time. It feels like, or
Yeah,
there's Fury Toys that was making the turtle
Fury
stuff,
Toys. Yep.
and then they're
And
called
that's
something
Blu-ray.
else.
There's Fury Toys and Fury Toys.
Fury Toy. And I don't know
Or
if they're
Fury
all the same.
Studios or whatever.
I
Yeah,
think it's all the same
it could
group
be.
of people.
Probably. Yeah.
Because they have they're circumnavigating copyright issues.
Yes.
Yeah.
So they don't want it to be too centralized with all the things that they are,
So, I
copying.
mean, I think that's an interesting question for you as toy makers. Is there, obviously you're in your initial Kickstarter, but we're hopeful and believe it's going to get funded, and this will be a project you can continue to do for years. It feels like there is, just like in the rest of the global economy, a threat of the Chinese toy makers who can get toys made really fast. And suddenly you get these pandas or these mounts or these things that are showing up,
The mounts, yeah.
Unannounced. It's just here you go. And they're good. They're good quality.
They're really good
And,
quality.
as I understand the global manufacturing side, a lot of that is because they're just right there. They're doing their PM work and everything themselves. They're going to the factory and they're producing it. And, do you view that as something why it's important to have an IP associated with a story, something you can protect, something that instead of just we're making lions, because that could also work, right? I mean, like there are people that want things like that, a lion man.
Mm-hmm.
But so what do you think as toy makers to help yourself not run into that obstacle, which I think is real? I think it's a very real challenge coming.
I think it's three reasons why you see that. Normally it's price. I don't know how much the premium DNA Earthworm Gem is for them, because now you're seeing it on AliExpress, but I think theirs is around 50 for the premium DNA one.
Like a big
And
bad,
then,
something like that.
And then on the AliExpress one, it's like 20 something.
Yeah.
So our figures are already like extremely low margin. So normally there has to be like a decent amount of profit margin for them. They're not going to get it with our figures because we're already selling them pretty inexpensively. Secondly, it has to be demand. Like Marvel Legends, you'll see them, even though the price on Marvel Legends is pretty low. There's a huge demand for those figures, so they'll sell a lot more and make up the profit. We are an independent toy company. We're trying to get funded, but we're nowhere on the same level as any of those figures. So that's a second thing that we're protected by. Third, the factories that Vonner works with, he hasn't had any of those issues with. Okay. So our molds are protected. In that case, if another way that they can steal an IP is by scanning the figure, but then you get things out of proportion and you get things not working well. So then they'll degrade the figure and it'll just make ours look better. And our price is already inexpensive. So, I think ultimately if they were to do something like that, that would just help us.
Yeah, it wouldn't make sense. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. It doesn't make sense. So we're knock on wood. We're protected in those realms for now. So hopefully we don't have to worry about a situation like that.
Yeah.
Do you expect to have on successful funding figures? Are you only making an allotment for backers, for Big Bad Toy Store, and however many you need for QC issues and that type of thing? Or do you expect to have some stock that you will ship like in stock after the fact? Or I'm thinking about international backers, and you hear that a lot with independent toy companies, that international backers have trouble getting the product, right?
Yeah.
It doesn't make sense from a customs, or if you thought about international distribution partners or those kinds of things. I know that's a big picture, but probably there's people that are interested in that.
Big Bad Toy Store is kind of one of our international distribution partner. But definitely we'd love to be able to have enough profit to order from the factory, some inventory, and then sell it on like our own website, or maybe through Big Bad Toy Store or 5K Toys, another partner. So we definitely would like to move in that direction where, it's not just, oh, you're just going to get the figures for a Kickstarter, but there's probably going to be a space in between. So it's best that people get the figures, order the figures now, because we want to make sure that everything works out before we, start moving forward with buying additional inventory. And we're going to need some of the capital to work on additional figures and ideas, especially if we don't hit tiers, and we need to get those produced so people have more faith and are more excited, and we can show things off better.
So if you, let's say you get funded, but at no stretch goals, is the game plan, we get these figures fulfilled and then we move on to those other things that have already been marketed as stretch goals as a new Kickstarter, or potentially, I mean, I know a lot of that depends on how much capital is left after production and so forth. But, we've seen a lot of models, right? So you've seen the original Horseman Kickstarter model, followed by another very large Kickstarter model. And then they moved into their own production fulfillment so that they're not paying a percentage of money to Kickstarter. I don't know that everybody realizes that, but some of this money doesn't go to you guys. It goes to Kickstarter.
Which is a lot of it goes to Kickstarter.
Providing the platform, that's you got to pay to play.
Yep.
It's the challenge, right? But so with Spare with Animal Warriors, Jason has done, I think, 2 different 1/18th Kickstarters, then had the 1/12th Kickstarter, and then had several waves not on Kickstarter that were through their website, where they retained all of the revenue from that, and then went back to Kickstarter, which I'm imagining is because a bunch of new tooling. So you've got a lot of tooling coming in this. Are you thinking it's a wave 2 Kickstarter, or are you thinking maybe some of those stretch goals, depending on capital, you might put up as a pre-order yourselves through your own webpage or something?
We'll definitely play by ear, but once we get the tooling for the base body, we should be able to offer these other characters on like maybe a pre-order system. We'll see how the demand is for it. Especially, it's going to take us time to get the figures in people's hands. Once the figures are in people's hands, then it'll make it easier for people to want to buy it. It's very rare that people are willing to get into a pre-order for a figure that we haven't shown anything for.
Hard to ask for money a second time till they have something the first time.
Exactly. So we'll probably have to take a hiatus and get things working. It depends on the demand. We'd love to if Athena isn't funded, do another Kickstarter for her and have all the renders done, all the prototypes, physical, have a much more concise offering for her, because the demand is real on her. And hopefully, people trust us that we're going to deliver on it. So that'd be nice. So we could perhaps deliver 2 waves next year, all in 1 year. That's really our hope. And maybe those additional characters, some of those might be in that. So it wouldn't be too far of a stretch in between. So that's probably the direction we're going to go, just to make sure that we're able to deliver everything at once, because we also don't want international backers to have to buy one figure, pay for all that shipping, buy another figure, until we can release waves on our own, on our website, or, on Big Bad Toy Store or other platforms. We might have to move forward with the Kickstarter platform for just a little bit longer.
Do you think you will have inventory with the successful funding here, have some inventory to bring to a couple shows? Or
absolutely.
Oh, definitely.
I think that's benefited Savage Crucible this year, Animal Warriors this year, is they've, for the first time, Savage Crucible's been around at a lot of shows, but just this year they finally had something to sell someone. That's not, pins and comics and prints are all nice, right? But if you want to turn them into a customer, they got to be able to grab something from you at some point.
Hopefully by then, once we start getting factory samples, we'll hopefully have had additional pre-orders for those figures from the
Yep.
Kickstarter up, and that additional profit will allow us to buy additional inventory so we can sell these conventions. Because I would love to just go on the road with Jason and we just go to these conventions, talk just like we're talking right now to our fans. Because when I was at Joe Fest and Toylanta, just walking around with my action figure, talking to people, it was a blast. I'm excited for Joe Lanta, where we'll actually have like an actual full display.
Yeah.
And I would love to go to all these conventions and just have a blast, meet people, give them free shit for backing us, and have a good time. So that's our ultimate goal is to just go to conventions, sell toys, talk shit, and shoot the shit and have fun.
I think
Give
that's
away stuff.
I think that's an important part of the model, because it's as online as we all are, there's still quite a bit of people that, for whatever reason, haven't heard of you, haven't found you, or I don't trust Kickstarter, I don't know what that is, or whatever, or we were at a IshCon last weekend, and the question I asked the Horsemen during a panel there was, a lot of people are not putting out money until the product's ready. That's just where the hobby is right now. And we all say the same thing, right? There's things that we've chosen not to pre-order anymore. Say, nope, I'm not doing that anymore.
Yeah.
It's not.
Yeah.
And it's not, there's no real reason. It's just the uncertainty of a lot of stuff with the economy and politics and whatever you want it to be. But you go, maybe I don't need to be committing to $5,000 worth of action figures over the next 2 years. I need to chill out on that. So, having that model where, you get stuff into people's hands, I think Wade had 100 Odious at SDCC with the exclusive. I mean, I'm sure he sold those really fast there.
Yeah, but it cost him a lot of money to get that shipped from the factory over. Like he had it air, from plane, whereas the predominant inventory came by ship, and he basically it was a wash.
It's like a marketing expense, basically.
But the companies that do figures right, that do their customers right, people are willing to pre-order. Like, I mean, look at Mythic Legions. Like, people, when the wave comes out, people support. When you are good to your customer base and listen to them, hopefully like we're trying to do, and give them the figures that they want and put in the work and give them the value that they want, they're willing to pre-order. I mean, look at Mafex. People pre-order Mafex because they know when it comes out, they're going to enjoy the figure. Predominantly.
But it took work for them too. Mafex they were terrible at the beginning. We all know that. And now I think they're the class of the 112 superhero figures. They're the best. Yeah. But I mean, we all remember the Iron Spider debacle where everybody's breaking right out of the package and all that. But they made
Tariq gave me that figure.
I don't even know where that thing is. I probably still have that figure. I don't know.
Or maybe Damien did. I don't know.
Maybe it was Damien. I don't remember.
No, it was Tariq. Tariq gave me that figure.
Yeah. But that's it's the trust and the transparency. It's what I appreciate. Before we went live, we're talking about you guys have been on the tour. I just think it's so important. And even tonight, a couple people back just on the stream. That's you win this battle one at a time. So my dad's a minister. A lot of people know that. I've grown up in a home like that. And one of the things that he used to talk to us about is regardless of what your philosophy, religion, whatever it is that you have, all of us have something that we live by, some type of code, whatever that is. And he always talked to us about that. You don't ever know what impact you're making in someone else. You just don't know. It's very difficult to understand how you can impact and influence someone. And he would tell the story of the little boy that's walking through the beach, and there's been a storm, and all these starfish are stranded on the beach. And he's walking and he's picking up a starfish and he's throwing it in one at a time. He's throwing it back into the water. And a man walks up to him and says, "Son, there's tens of thousands of these starfish out there. You can't make a difference. You can't get all these people to buy your product. It's just not possible. You can't help them all." And the boy picks up the starfish and throws it, and he goes, "But I helped that one." And I think this journey is very much one at a time, and earning the trust of a group of loyal customers. I don't know what the first Mythic Legions backed that, but it was not 25,000 people. That's not what it was. It was hundreds, probably.
Yeah.
Maybe a couple thousand. And that grows and grows.
Yeah.
You know, it was a lot of money, but people.
Yeah.
You know, you look at, I think I looked at Wade's when I was doing some research. I think it was 930 people are who backed that. It feels like such a much bigger project than that, but it's one at a time. And, you know, I think, each time you guys do one of these and then you show some renders and adds a few more, I'm optimistic. I think that this is going to be a successful project. I really do think that. And I think it's missing. You know, there is a lot more fantasy since 3 years ago, but there's not big daddies ready to.
That's right.
And muscle mommies.
And muscle mommies. Yeah.
That's right.
And a lot of feedback we're getting. I'm sorry, I keep blabbing over Jason. He says the more intelligent stuff, but I just like to talk. But most of the feedback we get is that people are optimistic and think that it's going to fund, and that means a lot because we're all toy collectors and we all know what it takes for a toy line to be successful, and for these people who put a large amount of their own money that they work hard for, and think that we're going to be one of the lines that they collect from here on out, means a lot. So.
It does mean a lot. Yep.
Yeah, I want. I know you guys are positive and encouraged, but encourage. You think about that. You go, so you've got almost $45,000-$50,000 plus an amount of money that is not certain. A big bad toy store, but it's not $200, right? It's a real amount of money. It's probably a 5-figure type of money. And, that is something that didn't even exist 3 weeks ago to most people, or 4 weeks ago to most people, is now got that kind of money invested in it. I think that's a testament to the product and the way you've launched it. And, and now it's growing. I'm excited to watch it grow and be a part of seeing it grow. And I just think, more independent toy makers, more people out of the community. We all say all the time, right? Especially when the price raise apocalypse was happening a couple years ago. Why am I paying $34.99 for a Marvel Legend? Why does Hasbro need any more money? We all know why, because they have to grow year after year and they're a publicly traded company. That's why. That's it. Yeah, that's the reason why. We can agree or not agree, but it's the reason why. And that's never going to change. We can't do anything about that. But what you can do is support third party, independent, whatever the term you want to use, small people that are members of the community that collect the same stuff we collect, that aren't collecting the dividends, they're collecting the toys. You guys probably want this to be funded most of all because you want the toy yourself.
Exactly right.
You want it yourself.
Exactly right.
And so I encourage the audience. A lot of people watch these streams in the replay. You have plenty of time to back this, but go back it now. Even just put the one figure. Get something. I'm sure you guys will do a backer kit after the fact where people can grow that. Mm-hmm. I know, this may be better for an off-stream conversation, but I'll say it now. I know one of the things I thought that Animal Warriors did a good job. Everybody wanted the Mamba, like elephant
and
thing. And in their backer kit, you could pledge for that, even though it didn't get unlocked. And it got unlocked in the backer kit.
Wow.
By people saying, I'm skipping these other unlocks and I'm going to put a bunch of money. And if it was like, if however many people, 500 people say they want this and put an extra X dollars in, we'll just skip right to that and make it. And it had to make financial sense for them, but they got there in the back of it.
Yeah.
So, that female warrior, just because it's a long way away now doesn't mean it may remain a long way away. You don't know. If you want that thing, we got to get it funded to begin with. It
costs a lot of money to get Athena funded. That's why she's so far up. But that would be awesome.
Oh my gosh!
But we definitely are trying to give as much as we can in this small amount. I know $140,000 is not a small amount, but based on all the tooling and molds, we're trying to give as much as we possibly can within that. And I hope people understand that and are excited for it.
I want to that comment right there. I think it's easy to say, well, it's just it's toys, it's action figures. That's all true, right? It's toys, it's action figures. It's not a necessity, but what is a necessity, especially in our world's complex, and so finding little things that make you happy, that bring you a little bit of joy, is so important now more than ever. Because world of stuff. And the more that we're on this, the more that we encounter things that make us sad or upset or whatever, fill in the blank. And little moments of joy are more important than ever. And so all of us would say, everybody watching this, every person in this country, if I told you I can guarantee you 1 hour of happiness for $35, everybody would say, yeah, I'll take that. I'll buy that. Because it's, you know, and that's so, while it is making action figures and it's, you know, we're not curing cancer with that, you're bringing brightness into people's lives. And as a collector, it's okay to say, this is something that's helpful to me and impactful to me. And, you know, the reason I do this live stream now is to talk to people like you. Is a lot of us struggle with mental health and understanding, you know, why things are the way they are. And, you know, a lot of us go back to this era because it's like, oh, when I was a child, I didn't have to worry about the mortgage, or I didn't have to worry about being called a certain name, or I didn't have to worry, whatever it is.
Yeah.
And so it means a lot to people. And, you know, so I think making a thing like that, that's one of the things I like to end on our streams is, you know, what's a thing that in your life, in your collecting, you know, a thing that helps you as an adult, you know, with responsibilities and people that you have to take care of. What's a thing that matters in a rule, or, you know, I've had a lot of people say, you know, collect what you love or walk your journey or whatever. What's a tip that you have, both as toy makers and as collectors, to help people keep this hobby positive? Because it can quickly be overwhelming. It can quickly become, you know, I'm actually going to talk to next week. My guest is Toy Bro is going to be on. And I think, you know, he made a comment on Twitter I saw recently where he's, in response to all these Comic-Con reveals, he says, don't you sometimes feel like just throwing all of this away? And I don't think it was necessarily negative. It's like, there's so much good stuff and you have no space and you go, what am I doing? And you have to balance. And we're going to dig into that with him. So what's a thing, you know, how do toys help you be a better man, be a better dad, be a better person, be a better whatever? You know, I think that's a good thing to end on here.
Go ahead, James.
Well, going into about talking about what Toy Bro just said about just throwing things away, I do feel like that. And I find, just in terms of that, what helps me reconnect with all these toys that have given me joy every time I've even just opened it up and then just set it on the shelf is going through and redoing my shelf one row at a time. And like my Black Series shelf, I was like, most recently I was like, oh man, I'm just gonna stop collecting Black Series. But I was like, you know what, let me just go through this and reorganize it. And I did, and I found that joy once again for these figures that are, you know, some of them are like, you know, 7 years old, that I found underneath Target shelves because of I forgot who was it that was talking about it. That I think it's somebody in our group.
Yeah.
That was talking about lifting up the shelves. And I went into Target. I found the damn Luke Skywalker Return of the Jedi one, and I found Darth Vader underneath shelf. Anyway, and just got so much joy from just posing them again, putting them up on my shelf, and reconnecting with these figures again. And now, you know, I'm keeping my Black Series. But another thing that, what was the last question? What brings me joy?
How do you make sure it stays that way and doesn't become too much, overwhelming, credit card debt, you know, fill in the blank?
I'm not doing a good job with that part, but you know, just making sure that I'm collecting things that I need. You know, I know that's a weird word to say in collecting an action figure line, but you know, back in the old Marvel Legends days before the pandemic, like it was buying every wave that came out. But now I just buy the figures that I need, and I find that I'm getting a lot more enjoyment. Right now, that's about 90% G.I. Joe classifieds, and the same thing with Masterverse, but I'm enjoying those figures a lot more than buying every single you know, Marvel Legends or every single figure of any company. So that's just what keeps me happy. Right.
Yep, that's good. Jason?
It's a lot. It's kind of hard for me because I lost my dad when I was 14 to lung cancer. He wore asbestos suits in the Marine Corps, and he smoked on top of that. So he died at 41, and I was 14.
Oh, wow.
So, and that was 1991. So when I see figures that really touched me, or that I collected, or I wish I had collected, I want them, and I want them all because it made me feel.
Yeah.
It made me feel happy like I did when my dad was alive.
Yeah.
Wow.
So that's why I have all these figures around me, and I try to pass that on to my kids to show them, like, you know, you have these toys, man, and you can always look at them and you can collect them and keep them, and you can always look at them and think, wow, how did that make you happy when you first got that toy? And what did you do? The things you thought of. Where did you go outside and play? You know, remember that tree you put Ewoks down under? You know, you had your Ewok forest at a base of a tree with big roots. You know, and I try to tell my kids and teach my kids that, and also in front of my my work computer. Another thing, I have my prototypes in front of my work computer. One, because I love them. They're awesome, and I'm proud of it. I'm proud of what James and I have completed so far. And for two, if my day's stressful at work, I can reach over and grab my action figure and just play with it, kind of like a stress ball.
Yep.
Yeah. Wow.
I appreciate you sharing that, man. That's a very touching story, and you know, everybody has the I turn to this when I'm feeling a certain way, you know, and unfortunately for a lot of people, it's a lot of unhealthy habits, right? You know, how many people, the way I like to say it, pee their discretionary money down the urinal at the bar, right? Or go play golf and spend a lot of money doing that, or fill in the blank, right? And that's not a judgment on how people spend your money, how are you going to spend your money? Yeah. But that's what everyone's doing. Is I'm trying to connect to something, right? That's what we do as humans. That is like our core function, is to connect to another thing, another memory, a time, another person. That's what we want to do. And I think that's a beautiful story, right? And certainly an emotional one. But, you know, I love Ray Fillet from Ninja Turtles. And it's not a lot of people's favorite character, but it's my favorite character. I vividly remember my dad toy hunting to find Ray Fillet. I didn't know that's what it was when I was that age, but he told me he went to like 6 different stores to find me that one because it's the one I wanted. That will always be an impactful figure to me. So like I have the Super 7. They just reissued it and it was on Walmart. I'm like, oh, I'm buying that immediately.
Yep.
And it has nothing to do with that character and everything to do with where it connects me.
Yeah.
You know, in life. And that's, you know, these toys that you guys are making will be that for other people, right? They'll be formative parts of other people's memory and your own, right? And your own memories. And, you know, hopefully in a year we'll be somewhere together talking about this stream and, you know, the memory of that, and then how this took off. And
this is a memorable one. Yeah.
I try and I mean, obviously the people that are viewing here and are watching this later, you know, my channel is not about action figures. You know, it's about my life and my family and my friends and what we do. We just happen to do a lot with action figures and conventions, but you know, we also, for instance, Wednesday we're going to see Usher. Natalie and I are going to see Usher. Well, that's going to be in the Sunday video. It will be the Usher concert, you know? Because I'm making
A-Town down, baby.
That's right. Yeah. Oh, it's his. He's got 6 shows here, and it's the first one. So I'm optimistic for quite a few guest appearances.
Oh, it's going to be great.
So you know, I just think if we can push away from the consumerism of it all and the buy, and instead think about what we're doing and why we're doing it, it just makes it better. It makes it more meaningful, and it makes projects like yours even that more impactful. Because even there's one family out there that this is a connection point for someone in that family. It doesn't have to be father, son, doesn't have to be daughter. It could be brothers, uncles, whoever, friends. then what greater purpose than that to help people find a memory and a connection? So I really appreciate you sharing that, because I know it's not an easy thing to do. I hope I didn't ambush you on a live stream with that, but
not at all. Not at all.
Great. Yeah. And you guys are, I see, Paisano doing I agree. This is you're doing a great job. You're making a thing that I think is needed in the market, but also you're putting a lot of love into it. And I think that's obvious, If your figure was sitting there at $89.95, I wouldn't say that. Right. And you could have got there, because it looks a lot like some figures that cost that kind of money and have a much juicier profit margin. But you're making the things you want to make, and you're trying to get it launched at a price point that's reasonable. And I appreciate that.
We just want people to get our toys and love them as much as we do.
Yeah.
So,
absolutely.
Well, anything else that we want to add? Any final questions from the chat or anything? If you're watching this on replay, if you leave a comment, I know they'll be checking, and I'll send things to them as well. Anything else? You got other shows coming up this week that you're on?
Yeah, we're on the Collecting Brothers tomorrow or Tuesday. The Collecting Brothers did a fantabulous job Tuesday at 10:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. When we first launched our Kickstarter, you can see how it used to look and hear my horrible voice doing the video. Before Jesse Falcon does our intro, we got so lucky having him do it. But he did a great job, and we just want to go on their show and just talk toys. They seem like two great guys. So we're going to be on there Tuesday, 10:30 p.m. And hopefully we'll have a new reveal then. So.
And I think I saw, as you approach the ending, you might do a live stream or something on your Instagram, kind of countdown type of final push. I'll just let you guys know if you want guests on that, I'd be happy to hop in and join.
Absolutely.
And, I remember, I think Wade did a big long stream at the end, and that was fun too, right? And I think he got a lot of people that joined there at the last second. So I'd be happy to help you guys any way that I can. Tropic Thunder just placed an order on Big Bad. That helps too.
Oh, yes. Thanks, absolutely.
Making the rounds. But
Thank you, Tropic Thunder. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah.
Well, I appreciate you guys coming on. I very much enjoyed the conversation, getting to know you better, and hearing the story. And hopefully we're going to be playing with some big, what do they say in wrestling? Big meaty men laying meat, I think is what they call it, when it's the big guys just chopping each other over and over again.
Absolutely. We hope so too, man.
Yeah, absolutely.
Hopefully we get some big meaty men to play our characters one day on maybe we can make some low budget wannabe fantasy movie like they used to make in the 80s. That'd be fucking awesome.
So there is I actually have several friends that are on. There's currently on Kickstarter as well, the Masters of the Universe fan movie.
Yes,
I
just watched the first one last night. I was like, because I never knew that even existed.
Me either.
And I watched the first one, and then I watched the trailer, the Kickstarter trailer for the sequel, and
it's
I was
cool.
like,
I'm backing that too. I got some friends that are actually casting that, but then also they've got Brian Cage, the wrestler, as He-Man, and I'm like, that looks like
I gotta check it out.
That's a guy that looks like these figures.
And the first one was 10 years ago or something. 8 years
yes,
ago.
it's a while ago.
Still looks great.
Really?
Today. So maybe he can play Cronin for us.
Yeah, that's what I say. He, if he's available, he probably would fit the bill.
Yeah, I listen. I've written screenplays. I'll write one in a heartbeat.
Atlanta's the right place.
Yeah.
Go down to Pinewood or Tyler Perry Studios. Then Jason can know where it is.
Bro, we already live in the neighborhood. We read
Medea goes to Brutal Realm. That could be talking to Tyler Perry. We'll line that interview up next.
I'll take money from Tyler Perry in a heartbeat. We got Ogun. It's a black-centered movie. So
that's true. All right, guys. Well, I appreciate it. Everybody, enjoy the rest of your Sunday evening. No House of the Dragon tonight. That makes me sad. No House of the Dragon.
I haven't watched it yet. I watched all of the Game of Thrones, and I'm just gonna wait until it's done.
Just wait.
And then watch it.
You got 2 seasons right now, and it's like 2 years before it comes back.
I did that last time. I waited till 2 seasons, and then I started watching it, and I was enthralled all the way. And I just can't do that to myself right now.
Don't do it. Don't do it, man.
It's too
Don't
good.
do it.
And I hear House of Dragons is amazing.
It's great.
And
It
I
is
gotta
great.
wait till they stick the landing because they didn't do it with Game of Thrones.
No, they didn't.
There's an advantage that at least it's a finished book. Like they're not like
Yeah.
they don't, it is a finished product. So it's,
okay.
I think, I don't know. It's been a lot of fun though. It's been a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Well, I'm going to go watch
until...
Demon Slayer with the family. It's anime
nice.
night before school starts, an episode of Demon Slayer. But we'll have Toy Bro on next week. See the guys Tuesday night, and follow on Instagram. I think Instagram is probably the best place to see, other than if you just back the Kickstarter, then you'll get the updates there. That's the easiest one.
And
but
Facebook,
Instagram's a good place too.
Our Facebook collector group, Brutal Realm Collectors Group. We're on Threads as well. And then Jason started a TikTok for us. So follow us on that. We're on everything we can possibly be.
You have one of them, the dancing girls on TikTok yet doing a dance with the figure in the hand? That's the trend, right? You get one of those, what you call the cutting shapes dancing.
I'll have to ask my daughter how to do that.
No, you will not, sir. Don't.
Well, you can make the gambit. That works. The gambit is the big thing, right? The gambit. Oh, I've been waiting my whole life for this, and have the little brutal realm.
I don't know.
And then click the all-in Kickstarter. Y'all remember what happened here today?
Speaking of anime, have you watched Berserk? It's not something to watch with your kid, but
no. I mean, I know the character designs, but I haven't.
It's one of the greatest animes
phenomenal.
ever.
Yeah.
I couldn't recommend it more. If anyone wants to know the direction we would go in if we were to do an anime, Berserk would be it. So I'd highly recommend everyone to watch it.
Big.
The ending to Berserk is something that will scar you for life.
Yeah.
The original, the old 90s Japanese anime one, because there's also the CGI, it will scar you for life.
Ooh.
It's so good. It's so good, though.
In a good way, or just in an impactful way, I guess.
In a bad way.
In a bad way.
I'm not even going to lie. It's so impactful.
Well, I mean, I tend to like that kind of stuff. I want to feel, right? I want to feel.
You're going to feel.
I mean, Game of Thrones did that to me.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Think Game of Thrones before Game. I mean, well, I guess Berserk was after Game of Thrones, the books, but it is a roller coaster.
Yeah. I need to go back and rewatch it.
I recently did. You can watch it all on YouTube too.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I watched it all on YouTube. And then the ending, you'll be like, wait, where's the next episode? I'm sorry. I'm sorry. It'll leave you just like
crushed.
But there are sequels to it. It's just in a different animation style. So.
Well, good luck, guys, and thanks for joining me. And we will talk to everybody next. Well, I don't know. What other videos do I have coming? I don't know. Next Sunday, we got Toy Bro, and everything else comes on the channel. I appreciate you guys. We'll talk to you all later. Have a good Sunday night. Go to the Kickstarter and back Brutal Realm, and let's get some big, meaty men.
Yeah, let's get brutal.
Yes.
Let's get brutal.
See you guys.
See you, man. Thank you.
Yep. In stream.